I'm going to move on to explain the rest of the scans in folder number 15, relative strength bullish momentum scans. I'll go down here to number 5. This is LLUR Smart Group, or lower left to upper right is what we're looking for. Or those are the type of stocks we're looking for. Now this goes back several years. Ian and I and other people that used to come to the seminars put this together, and it's based upon moving averages, and we're looking for stocks primarily on the daily chart, but you can see that it could also work for monthly, weekly, and daily, but stocks that go from the lower left area to the upper right. Let's take a look at the next one. Now this is a looser chart here, but you can still see the type of stock that we're looking for. This is a much looser chart. Not so much in the weekly, but the daily is looser. But still, it's lower left to upper right. Try the next one here. Same thing. A little bit loose, or did that one slip down? I'm updating the background. Let's go down to Tyler Technologies here. Lower left to upper right. So this is the end of day. I'm going to go to the intraday. So just by coming to this scan, you know that these stocks are going to have the characteristics of lower left to upper right charts. Here's one, WillScot. The dailies can be loose, but they still have the characteristic of going from the lower left to the upper right. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Accumulation acceleration. This is something I came up with a while back. I'm looking for stocks that are showing strong signs of accumulation. I just happen to name them accumulation acceleration. Let's go here, and I'm going to click on the quick pick charting view, and I'll type I'm looking for a chart called accumulation trend chart, accumulation acceleration. Now what this chart shows is every time there is a green bar up here that this stock is increasing its acceleration to the upside with accumulation. You can see the green line, which represents the percent AD or percent accumulation, and the red line represents the velocity. Whenever it's above this blue line, that means that rapid accumulation is taking place in one of these stocks. Let me zoom in here, you can see this better. So that's how I came up with the name. Let's take a look at another chart. I'm going to move down to the next one, WVE. I'm not familiar with the stock, but you can see that as it came off the bottom, there were many green lines. And also there was a pocket pivot here, a couple of pocket pivots here. The volume point of control turned positive, and the accumulation started setting in or making itself readily apparent. One more. This is end of day. This is end of day as of yesterday. Once more. Stock under strong accumulation. Now let's go to the intraday version, and you can see that Target, which reported today, had a huge gap up, traded down, and now it's trading near its high. Accumulation, acceleration bars began right here as it started moving up. Let's go to Paycom. This is a stock that's had huge moves recently. And you can see that the accumulation started here, then it dried up as the stock pulled back, and then the first bar was generated up here. And this stock has made a tremendous move. Look at this move today, intraday. Okay, so that should explain accumulation acceleration. The next one is leaders, raw relative strength. This is one of the smart groups that it goes directly to. I'm going to get rid of this chart. Just go back to my daily VPA chart. And you can see here's Arrowhead Pharma. This is as of yesterday. This is just accessing the raw relative strength group under Woodward and Brown smart groups. And there are always 100 securities in here. You can see that. And it's just a good list to look at because these are generally high relative strength stocks if you look down this column right here. I'll bring up Arrowhead again. Let's see how it's doing today. A little bit of a pullback. Take a look at this one. I'm sorry, this is from last night. This is not the intraday version. But these stocks are still trying to move. So let's go to the intraday version, and Kodiak Sciences is on top. High relative strength stock, 99. Here's a test, a confirmation of that test. Effort to rise. This was a pullback and it generated some negative VPA flags, but that was overcome the following day, and you can see that it's heading higher. New all-time high on the monthly, new all-time high on the weekly. Okay, and I'm going to move down to the final view in this video series, or these two videos on relative strength. And this is RS rank 90. These are stocks that are outperforming the S&P by 5% over 10 days. And I put this together when the market was weak. I wanted to see which of the stocks in a down market were outperforming the S&P by 5% over 10 days. And this is what I came up with. And you can see that 194 stocks over the past 10 days have outperformed the S&P. There are some familiar names in here. I've talked about Arrowhead. Here's Tandem Diabetes Care, which has had a hard time breaking out. It had a huge run on the monthly chart, and it's been consolidating for a long time on the weekly chart. Every time it gets up here to resistance, it seems to pull back. But it's moving again, and it is outperforming the S&P. This is a good screen to use in a down market if you're trying to play the long side of the market, because it looks for strong stocks in a weak market. Now, this is the intraday version of this. A biopharma here, CUE. Came down and bottomed on the monthly, consolidated, took off. You can see it on the weekly too. And the daily chart is nice and tight. This is strength seen returning after a downtrend. Here's a confirmation of that strength. No supply, and it started moving up, and it's got a lot of volume coming into it now. Let's look at Luna. Strong monthly, strong weekly. Nearly trying to break past this resistance here. Earnings were reported on this day, and you can see it shot up. But now it's held steady. It's under accumulation. It looks like it's going to make another run to go higher. It's up 5.56% today. I've looked at Paycom. Let's look at, haven't looked at Nanth Health. That's a dollar stock. I should look at something a little, let's look at this one here. Strong monthly, strong weekly, strong daily. Breaking out to a new high on all of these. There was an effort to rise. First of all, let's look at this one. High volume up bar closing on the high indicates strength. You can see that. Here's an effort to rise, another effort to rise yesterday, and this is what's happening today. Now we're in a down market now. I'm doing this on the 20th. Market was holding steady, and then it sold off sharply after news of a delay in the trade talks. But it's holding up all right. But you can see that even on days like this, there are some very strong stocks. And these stocks, like I said, are outperforming the S&P by 5% over the last 10 days. Now that's it for these scans. I broke them down into the two videos. And the next set of scans are earnings momentum, and I'll get into that in the next video.